Our legs. They are the pillars of our physical existence, the foundation upon which we run from danger, walk toward new horizons, and stand firm in the face of the unknown. But what happens when these pillars break? When an accident, an injury, or paralysis robs us of the very foundation of our movement? Human medicine has its answers, often limited by scars and long recoveries. But what if there were another kind of medicine? One that doesn't operate in sterile rooms, but in the silence of a craft or through an inexplicable beam of light. Welcome back to Alien Cases. Last week, we opened the first volume of the Alien Healing Files, investigating 10 accounts that defy logic. Today, we dive even deeper. Thanks to the immense generosity of researcher Preston Dennett, who granted us access to his monumental work, The Healing Power of UFOs, we will explore 12 new cases, and there is a frighteningly specific pattern here, a focused attention on healing the legs of humanity. For those just joining us and wanting to understand the start of this journey, the link to the first episode is in the pinned comment and the description. And if your curiosity runs as deep as ours, we encourage you to get Preston Dennett's book, also linked below, to explore these 300 accounts in full. Now, prepare yourselves, because the stories we are about to unravel today aren't just about broken bones and torn skin. They're about interventions at the brink of death and technologies that seem like pure magic. The question that guides us is, why do they care so much about putting us back on our feet? Our investigation begins amidst the chaos of post-war Europe. It's May 1948. A young German, Hans Klotzbach, makes a desperate decision. Without a passport, he hides on a coal train, dreaming of illegally crossing the border into Luxembourg. As the train approaches the control station, under the cloak of night, he jumps. The calculation is flawed. The impact with the ground is brutal. His legs are shattered, blood spills into the darkness, and before the pain can completely consume him, the world fades to black. Hans doesn't wake up in a hospital. He awakens inside an impossible place, bathed in an opal blue light. There are no doctors, only a voice addressing him in his native German. The voice speaks of cataclysmic events in Earth's future, but first it explains why he is there. They had found him dying beside the tracks and, moved by compassion, brought him aboard to heal him. The voice continues, and Hans loses consciousness again. 4 days later, he wakes up in a small wood, 10 kilometers from where he jumped. His pants are hardened with dried blood. His shoes are soaked with it. But his legs are perfectly healed. An anonymous miracle witnessed only by the night. 2 decades later, in 1969, in France, chaos finds another man. Jean Migueres, an ambulance driver, is speeding down a road near Rouen. Suddenly, a disembodied voice echoes in his mind. "Do not be afraid. Nothing bad will happen to you. You will feel nothing." 20 minutes later, while driving at over 100 miles per hour, a metallic object shrouded in mist appears before him. In the same instant, an oncoming car, which he hadn't seen, collides head-on with his ambulance. Trapped in the wreckage, Jean sees a being materialize beside him. The entity reassures him, stating that although he is injured, he would feel no pain. "I am going to regenerate you by a procedure not yet known on your planet," the being says. He removes a small glowing white disc from his belt, presses it against the nape of Jean's neck, who feels a tingling sensation travel down his spine. The being then vanishes, with an enigmatic promise. "This accident was necessary for you. We will come back to see you." In the hospitals, Jean's ordeal was terrible. Multiple surgeries, broken bones, twice declared clinically dead. Even after 3 years, the pain persisted, and he couldn't walk. Then one day, without explanation, his body began to heal in record time. He walked again, without even a limp, and discovered he had gained a gift, the gift of healing. And in 1995, in Sacramento, California, tragedy strikes Connie Islay. A car accident leaves her in critical condition. At the hospital, the doctors are categorical. Her right leg will have to be amputated. But Connie, who had previous healing experiences with ETs, refuses to accept it. In desperation, she prays, asking for their help, and she believes they answered. Upon waking, she reports seeing a tall, familiar being in her peripheral vision, who disappeared when she tried to look at him directly. To the astonishment of the medical staff, Connie's recovery was so rapid and complete that her leg was saved. They nicknamed her Miracle Legs. 3 terrible accidents, 3 interventions that defied death. Was it compassion or something more?
If the previous cases suggest a rescue, the next ones point to a procedure, a form of surgery so advanced it seems indistinguishable from magic. We go to the Sichuan province of China in March 1987. A family, a father, mother, and a young child, is awakened by a loud humming noise. Outside, a huge red-orange, hat-shaped UFO hovers above their house. In an instant, the 3 find themselves inside the object, strapped to metal tables, being examined by bluish beings with 3 eyes on their foreheads. During the exam, one of the ETs makes an incision on the child's thigh. Then, he passes a pencil-like device over the cut, which closes instantly, leaving no trace. The same surgical precision is reported by Erica X, a designer for a famous New York City clothing store, in 1995. Abducted from her Manhattan apartment, she remembers her leg being cut. Then, one of the aliens simply placed his hand over the wound. "I was looking at this in shock," Erica says. "And then the wound in my leg kind of sealed up." The next morning, she found only a scar, as fine as a strand of hair, already completely healed. The crucial detail: Erica has a medical condition that makes her healing extremely slow. Normal cuts take weeks or months to heal and always leave noticeable, rough scars. This one, however, was practically invisible. This technology takes different forms. In the late 1950s in South Africa, contactee Anne Grevler had an encounter that began bizarrely. An alien used a rod-like device to make her car invisible. Anne, thinking the car was gone, walked over to where it should have been and cut her leg on the invisible license plate. The being then demonstrated another power. Without using any device, he simply directed his gaze to the wound, which healed promptly. Incision, touch, gaze. 3 methods, 1 result. The instantaneous restoration of the human body, performed with a precision our science cannot yet comprehend.
Sometimes the intervention is even more subtle, devoid of ships and examination tables. Sometimes the healing arrives as a beam of light or a touch in the middle of the street. We are in the French Alps, November 1968. Dr. X, a physician, is awakened in the early morning by his infant son's cries. Through the window, he sees flashes of light. Moments later, he observes 2 luminous discs hovering outside. The discs merge into one and fire a beam of light that strikes him head-on. There is a loud bang, and the object disappears. Dr. X carried the scars of war. Years earlier, in the Algerian War, he had suffered injuries that resulted in partial paralysis of his right arm and leg. A once skilled piano player, he was left unable to play, walking with a permanent limp. Furthermore, 3 days before the incident, he had badly injured his ankle with an axe while chopping wood. After being hit by the beam of light, his wife notices something unbelievable. The recent wound on his ankle had completely vanished. The next day, Dr. X realizes something even more profound. The paralysis was gone. He no longer limped, and for the first time in years, he could sit down and play the piano again. In Moscow, 1990, former military officer Mr. Moskalenko is walking with a friend when he is struck by an invisible force that throws him off the road, injuring his leg. As his friend helps him, a short, thin man dressed in black approaches them. Ignoring the friend, he turns to Moskalenko and telepathically warns him of another possible energy strike. The stranger then squats down, touches Moskalenko's swollen leg with the palm of his hand. A flash of heat, and the pain and mental confusion disappear. And in Puerto Rico, 1991, a fisherman named Jose Maria Fernandez Martinez has an indirect experience. Days earlier, he had been bitten by a shark, a severe leg wound that everyone knew would take a long time to heal. One night, he sees a UFO and tries to photograph it, but his camera malfunctions. The next morning, he wakes up to find his leg healed, with only a scar remaining. "I cannot say that the beings from the ship cured me," he says, "but something strange happened because my wound closed since that night." A beam of light, a touch, a presence. Healing doesn't always require physical contact. Sometimes it's merely a side effect of being close to the impossible.
For some, healing is not an isolated event, but part of a lifetime of strange interactions. A single thread in a much larger, more complex tapestry. Dave's story begins in 1981 in California when he was 5 years old. Looking for a friend in the garage, he comes face to face with the head of a gray being peeking from behind a box. He tries to run, but time seems to slow down. After that, a memory gap, followed by years of vivid dreams of aliens in his house. In 1991, now in high school, the experience intensifies. Lying in bed, he hears a warbling tone. His body becomes paralyzed, the room fills with blue light, and a synthesized voice says, "Don't move." The event repeats several times in the following weeks. In 1995, the turning point. Dave is in a serious car accident. His shin is terribly bruised, and he is sent home unable to walk. That night, he hears the familiar tone and suddenly finds himself in a lucid dream state, kicking field goals on a football field. He questions the reality of the situation, and in the blink of an eye, the scene changes. He is lying on a table, paralyzed, in a dark, octagonal room. Beings are beside him, out of his field of vision. In front of him, 3 frosted windows with silhouettes of small figures behind them. Panic overwhelms him, and instantly he is back in his bed. The clock reads 4:45 a.m., the same time as his previous paralyses. He looks at his leg. It is completely healed, as if the accident never happened. The experience of Matthew from California also fits this pattern. In 1995, during an encounter with 3 gray beings, an entity he perceived as female focused on a chronic and painful problem he had with his knee. Through touch, she intensified the pain to an unbearable point, which he felt was a test, but she communicated it was a diagnosis for his healing. Curiously, during the encounter, one of the beings retrieved human pain medication from Matthew's bathroom and telepathically queried him about its use, showing an almost scientific curiosity about our way of dealing with pain. From a boy in Tbilisi, Georgia, who had his knee operated on by ETs, to these complex and ongoing cases, the pattern repeats. The healing appears to be, in many instances, not a random act of kindness, but an integral part of a long-term contact program.
12 cases. 12 individuals whose lives were forever changed by a healing that came from the sky. Revisiting these accounts, the initial question returns with even greater weight. Why the legs? Our foundation. They are what allow us to move forward, to escape danger, to explore our world, and symbolically, to progress. Are these acts merely physical repairs, or do they carry a deeper message? Are they, both literally and figuratively, trying to help us stand up, to keep walking down a path that perhaps we've been following the wrong way? The ability to heal a broken bone instantly, or erase a scar in seconds could revolutionize our world. And yet, it is applied selectively, quietly, almost secretly. It's not a gift to humanity as a whole, but a personal intervention. This forces us to question the intent. Is it a study, an experiment, or acts of compassion tailored to individuals from an intelligence that operates with an ethic we cannot yet grasp? The truth remains hidden in the scars that vanished and in the memories that will never fade. In the end, behind every case, there is a person, a life that was touched by the impossible. Your intuition and your questions are what make this exploration even more fascinating. We want to know what you felt while hearing these accounts. Have you read or heard about the Healing Power of UFOs? 300 true accounts of people healed by extraterrestrials by Preston Dennett? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's make this space a true meeting point for curious minds. And remember, every like you leave is a vote of confidence in our work that is only just beginning. It tells the platform this content matters and helps it reach more people. That simple gesture fills us with gratitude and allows us to keep charting these unknown territories and bringing you new cases. It's your way of saying, keep going. And if you feel a connection with what we're building here, know that our crew is always ready to welcome you aboard. By subscribing, you become part of the Alien Cases community. Until the next episode, traveler.